So good afternoon to all of you. We will start this webinar now on FEFO and shelf life picking with Produmex WMS. This webinar will be recorded and will be made available on the Boyum website for future reference. So let's start with the webinar. This afternoon, we want to go through the following agenda. First, I'll give you a brief introduction about Boyum IT. Then I'll introduce Produmex WMS for Sub-Business 1 to you, talk about GS1 compliance, functions for regulated environments, and FEFO and shelf life settings, which are the topic of today. And afterwards, I will give you a demo showing you how these principles are applied in Produmex WMS for Sub-Business 1. So, starting with a brief introduction about Boyum IT and Produmex. Boyum IT was founded in 1997. The company is headquartered in Denmark and currently has subsidiaries and sales offices around the world in the Americas, in Europe, Asia Pacific. The company has been a certified sub partner since 2004 and currently employs approximately or more than 140 employees within the Boyum IT group. Now, Boyum IT is 100% focused on Sub-Business 1. As far as Produmex is concerned, Produmex was founded in Belgium in 2004 and has been a Sub-Business 1 partner since 2006. And the company brings to market certified logistics add-on solutions for Sub-Business 1. Produmex was acquired by Boyum IT in April 2018, and the Produmex solution portfolio has now been added to the Boyum solution portfolio, consisting of the Boyum horizontal solutions and also the BEAS manufacturing solution. So if we look at the Produmex WMS, an overview of the Produmex WMS offering, this is a solution that is tightly integrated with Sub-Business 1. Now it consists of the core functionality of Produmex WMS, but it has been extended over the past years with a number of specific modules for a number of specific application areas, including, for instance, third-party logistics, including, for instance, also quality management, tracking and tracing, EDI, integration with automated warehouses, connection to scales, and also with a weighing application. Now, if we look at Produmex WMS, it is a solution that is compliant with industry standards, and in the logistics business, that means certainly also compliance with the GS1 industry standards, which are the standards that are available or applied worldwide for the identification of products in the supply chain. This includes logistic units. This includes the identification of individual items, based on the GTIN, the Global Trade Item Number, and also the identification of locations through the GLN. Apart from that, we also support, of course, the GS1 barcodes, of which the most important ones or the most widely spread ones are the GS1 or EAN14, which is the identification key for individual products, and also the GS1 EAN128 for extended information about products, including batch information, best before date, quantities, and so on. Now, Produmex WMS also supports the GS1 electronic communication standards for the exchange of information in supply chain operations, such as, for instance, the DES advice, so the dispatch advice, or the ASN, the advanced shipping notification, which is used by supply chain partners to notify each other of shipments that are on the way. Now, let's have a look at a number of specific Produmex WMS functions for regulated environments, and by that I mean food and life sciences. So on the one hand, we support batch management, of course, but specific about Produmex WMS is that we can do that in combination with the management of serialized items. So we can manage both batch information about the product as well as its serialized numbers. Then we have the management of use by, best before, or expiry dates. We have also the notion or the support for shelf life, which is which we can support both in the purchasing as well as in the sales process. We support FEFO, so first expired, first out picking. We also support conditioned storage through zone types that we can apply to zones in the warehouse. We have management of quality statuses, and of course we can offer full batch traceability. Now, before we actually start with the demonstration of FEFO and shelf life picking, allow me to give you a number of definitions or explain a number of topics in this context. First, we have the notion of what we call a use by date. And a use by date is all about safety. It is used on food that goes off quickly, such as meat products or ready prepared salads. And products that are past their use by date should not be consumed anymore. Next to that, we have the best before date. And the best before date is mainly about quality and not about safety. When a product is past its best before date, the food will be safe to eat for some time after this date, but it may not be at its best anymore. And then we've got the notion of expiration or expiry date. It is the date that is typically printed on the container of an item for sale, especially medicines, after which the item can no longer be sold and should also not be used. Now, the Produmex WMS expiry date concept covers all of these three options. And then we have the notion of FEFO, which is the practice of picking and delivering products on a first expired, first out basis, meaning that the products that would go off first will be delivered first to customers to ensure that we don't have inventory that goes past the expiry date or the best before date. And then we have the notion of shelf life. So shelf life is the length of time that a product may be stored without becoming unfit for use, consumption, or sales. In other words, this means that it refers to whether a product should no longer be on a pantry shelf, so when it becomes unfit for use, or whether it should just no longer be on a supermarket shelf, which means that it's unfit for sale, but not yet unfit for use, or on a pharmacy shelf, which means that after its shelf life is passed, it will become unfit for sale and unfit for use. If we represent this graphically, we can present it like this, saying that we have a date of goods receipt of September the 30th, and we have a best before date of a product that expires or passes its best before date on November the 30th, then the period between the 30th of September, namely the date of goods receipt, and the actual expiry date of the product is referred to as the shelf life. So in this case, this means if we deliver a product that has a best before date of the 30th of November, we have a shelf life of 60 days between the date of goods receipt and the date of expiry. Now, if we require from our supplier that he guarantees ourselves a shelf life of 50 days, it would be no problem to deliver a product that expires on the 30th of November on the 30th of September, because the period between the 30th of September is longer than the required shelf life which my customer requires from me. If, on the other hand, I have a customer who says, well, I require a shelf life of 70 days, then I have a problem with my product that expires on the 30th November if I deliver it on the 30th of December, because the shelf life between the date of goods receipt and the date of expiry is only 60 days, and my customer requires me to guarantee 70 days. So in that case, I would not be able to deliver the same product to that different customer. And that is the whole aspect of guaranteeing picking and delivery of goods in accordance with the shelf life conditions of specific customers. Now, how can we set this up in Produmex WMS? So we first have a number of settings in the Produmex item master data extensions. So we can specify whether or not a product has a best before date. And we can also have an automatic calculation of the best before date based on the settings per product. So we can specify, for instance, if we receive this product, the best before date of this product will be the date of goods receipt plus the expiry definition that we have set. But this, of course, can be overruled if the item barcode contains itself a best before date. So if I say, okay, I assume that this product, if I receive it, will have a best before date of 2 years from now, but there is a barcode on the product that says, no, the best before date is not 2 years from now, it is 1 year from now, then the information in the barcode will overrule the generic setting. So the best before date will determine which product will be picked and delivered first. And then we have shelf life conditions. Shelf life, as explained, refers to the time that I can keep the product on my shelves either as a supplier or as a customer. So we have a shelf life for purchase. This means that if I purchase goods at a supplier of mine, I will also request that he will guarantee me a minimum shelf life to keep this product in my stock. And I can do the same for sales. So I can also specify a shelf life for deliveries to my customers. And I can do that in 3 ways. On the one hand, I can specify a generic shelf life, meaning in general for this product, the shelf life will be this number of days, but I can also specify a customer-specific shelf life. If I have a customer who is more stringent on the shelf life conditions, I can specify that he has more stringent shelf life conditions. And then I can also do this based on country-specific settings. So I can, for instance, define that if I export to a specific country, the shelf life conditions should be longer than for internal national deliveries. So shelf life conditions will determine which best before date can be delivered to which customer or country. So it is actually a combination of both that will define what I will be able to deliver to a specific customer in a specific country. Now let's turn to the Produmex WMS demo, in which I will first show you a number of these configuration settings. I'll show you also the settings for FEFO picking and also the item master data extensions for shelf life management. And then I will take you through the inbound logistics process and the goods receipt and the put away and the inventory reporting. And then I'll take you to the outbound logistics process, where you will see how FEFO picking based on shelf life will determine which products I will deliver to which customer. Okay, so this as the introductory part. So let us now move towards the system itself. So what you see here is Produmex WMS, which consists of, on the one hand, an administrative module that runs in the sub-business 1 environment, and on the other hand, we have got here our RF terminal on which we execute the activities in the warehouse. So first, let's have a look at the organizational structure, which is the structure in which we define the layout of the warehouse and define the characteristics. So Produmex WMS ties in to sub-business 1 at the level of the warehouse. So the warehouses in Produmex are linked to the warehouses in sub-business 1, but underneath the warehouses we have our own structure in which we can define different zones. So here, for instance, I have a zone for my docks, so my receiving and shipping docks, or also cross docks. I can have here a zone where I do my picking operations. So here is my my zone here. Yes, here I have my picking locations where I can specify whether or not specific products are reserved for this particular location. We have here a number of settings that we can also define on these locations to define for instance, the sequence in which these locations will be run. So here, for instance, I have a location which is associated with one of my food products, so namely for chickpeas, where I can specify minimum and maximum quantities for my product, and also replenishment quantities. Also, we have in this organizational structure the possibility to define, for instance, zone types, if we talk about conditioned storage. So here we have the possibility to define whatever zone types we have in our warehouse, and we can associate these zone types with specific storage areas. For instance, here we have a freezer zone, and if we look at that freezer zone, we see that this freezer zone is of the zone type freezer, which means, or which implies, that if I want to store products in that zone, they will have to be of the same zone type, and otherwise the system will not allow me to store them over there. So here you see that we have an ambient temperature zone, and so on. We also have at the global level the possibility to define quality statuses. And so here we have quality statuses. Here we can define a number of quality statuses that we will apply while processing product. For instance, a quality status like quarantine, when we don't want to be deliver products straight away to customers, but want to check their quality conditions first. Also important in defining the behavior of the picking process are the extension parameters, where we can define how specific processes will run. So here, for instance, we have a generator that will define how products will be assigned to a pick list, and in this case you see that we have defined here that the principle should be FEFO, so first expired, first out, but I have the possibility to change that. If I want to go to FIFO, first in, first out, I could change it to this other algorithm. Okay, so far for the organizational structure. If we now look at the item master data extensions for FEFO and shelf life picking, so let's take a particular product here. So I have here my chickpeas. Okay, so if I look at my item master data, you see that I have a tab here for Produmex, and in that tab I can specify a number of aspects or characteristics for this product. For instance, here I have specified that it has a best before date. I can specify here that it has to be stored at a specific in a specific zone of a specific zone type. I can specify here that in the purchasing process I want to apply a shelf life for reception. So this means if I receive this product, my supplier has to be able to guarantee me a shelf life of 360 days. So I must be able to maintain this product in my stock for at least 360 days before it expires. I can also define here a quality status for reception. So in this case, I'm telling you that this is, when I receive this product, I will put it automatically in quarantine. And I can define also here that I have a standard expiry definition for reception of 2 years. So if there is no expiry date or best before date on the product itself in the barcode, then the system will apply the 2-year expiry date, or add 2 years to the goods receipt date of today. Okay. So this for the inbound process, and we have the same for the outbound, or similar for the outbound process. So what we see here is that we have here, for this product, we have here a shelf life for delivery of 140 days, meaning that if I deliver this product to a customer of mine, I have to guarantee in general that it will still have the stock can still remain for 140 days at least on his shelves before it expires. But I can have more stringent conditions. So here I have a customer, for instance, who says, well, I don't want a shelf life of 140 days. I want a shelf life of 155 days. And here I have added a country code. So here I say for all customers that I have in the UK, I will apply a shelf life of 240 days. So to ensure that while the transfer process is longer, and they have a longer guarantee of a longer shelf life. So this is these are the settings. So let us now proceed with the process. So first the inbound logistics process. So let us create a purchase order. So I'm going to select here my supplier, my fruits and veggies supplier. I'm going to select here my product, so my chickpeas, and I'm going to order 1 full pallet of this product, which is 50 trays. So I add the purchase order, so it has been added now. And if I now turn to my RF terminal, on my RF terminal I see the 4 basic processes that can be supported. So the inbound logistics processing from purchase to goods receipt and put away, the outbound logistics process from sales to picking, delivery, the internal logistics process, and also a link to production if applicable. And so this is a configurable terminal. If you don't have production, you don't need, say, buttons for production on there. So let's now start with the purchasing process. So I click on purchase. I'm going to do a reception. And the system now asks me first where I'm going to do the reception. So this is all the docs that I have received in my defined in my organizational structure. So I click here to say that I'm going to receive on my receiving doc 1. And then I can select the filter based on which I receive the goods. So the most automated way is by scanning the barcodes that are on the delivery, and the system will then associate that with the purchase order and speed up the receiving process. I can go through the order. I can also, if I have no reference to a purchase order, I can also do a blind receipt, as this is called, or I can also do container reception, so the reception of multiple purchase orders in a container. So here we go through the order, and here I have my purchase order that I've just created. So in this case, I'm just going to receive one single logistic unit. See, if I would receive multiple logistic units of the same product, then I could speed up that process also by indicating identical logistic units. Now in this case, it's no identical logistic unit. I can scan the barcodes now on the GS1 label, so but there is always a possibility, if there are no barcodes, to do it the manual way, which I will do now. Now I can scan the product, so I have a small hand scanner attached to my computer here, so allow me now to scan the barcode. Okay, he has now, based on the barcode, identified that this is the product, so my chickpeas. He now generates a batch number itself, because it's configured that he should do that. He has entered now, or he has added 2 years to the best before date. So he has added 2 years to the date of today, because that is also a setting. And now he asks me to specify the quantity, and I'm telling him that I'm receiving one full pallet. Okay, so the system will now register the goods receipt, and it will print for me a goods receipt label. And the goods receipt label contains in human readable format the identification of the product based on its global trade item number, the quantity, the best before date, and also the batch number. And the same information is recorded here in the GS1 128 barcode. Also, you see that there is the system has generated a unique identification code for the logistic unit, which is called the SSCC, and that's the individual, so the unique identification code of this pallet, and that is also reflected here in the barcode. If we turn now to the goods receipt in SAP Business One, so we see that we have indeed here the registration of the goods that we have received, so 50 trays. It is on my receiving dock one. It is on this logistic unit, and it is currently in the status of quarantine, because I have specified that the standard goods receipt status of this product should be quarantined, so that I can inspect it before I release it. Now, in order to follow up the inventory in real time, we also have a specific inventory report in Produmex for SAP Business One. So if I consult that one, okay, so for my chickpeas here, okay, so you will notice now that I have here the full inventory of this product in my warehouse with its location. And if I go to the right here, you see that this product that I have received is now in the state of quarantine. So what I can do now as a responsible person in the company is that I can change the quality status of this product. This is also something that can be automated through an interaction with our Produmex quality module, but here I do it manually. So here I'm going to say, I'm going to change the quality status, and I'm going to change the status to released. And if I do that, he will ask me to specify a reason, and I can specify here a standard reason saying it is QC cleared after analysis, and I can now change the status of it. Now this manipulation of the product will also be stored in the traceability record of the product. So at all times I will also have a track record of who changed something and when did he do that. And so I change it now, and what you see now here is that we have now changed the quality status of the product also to released. You see now that it is still located on my receiving dock one. So the next step is that I move the product into my warehouse. So I click here on Put Away from my receiving dock one, and the system will show me there is indeed a logistic unit with this unique number, 26975, which needs to be put away into the warehouse. Okay, so I can select this barcode, I can scan it, and then the system asks me to select a location. So I can now go to a location and select that location. I can put it on its default location, or I can also ask the system to provide me or to suggest an empty location. So if I do that, he will tell me, okay, location B0019 is still empty. You can move it over there. And then I can go there, select the location, and the system will confirm that the logistic units are moved. If I now refresh my report, you will now notice that here indeed you see that this product or this logistic unit is now located at my location B0019. So with this inventory report, we have an overview in real time of where my stock is in my warehouse. So let us now start with the outbound logistics process. And before we turn to that, you will see here that I have stock in my warehouse of different batches. So you see all the batches here, and also of different best before dates. So here we see that we have stock with the best before date of the 6th of April 2019. We have stock with an best before date of the 11th of April 2019, the 1st of June 2019, 14th of September 2019, and so forth. So basically, if there are no criteria specified on customer level, the system will allocate based on the oldest stock. So it will take the stock in this order. But with the addition of customer-specific shelf life, we can, of course, influence this process. So if we look at that now, so let's take now, or let's create now a sales order. Okay, so I'm going now into the sales process. I create a sales order. I select a customer for which the normal conditions apply, so my food deli customer, and let's suppose that I'm going to sell him one tray of chickpeas. So I'm going to sell him one tray of chickpeas. Okay, so I enter the delivery date of today. So here is my sales order now for my normal customer. Now I'm going to duplicate this sales order, and I'm going to assign it to a customer who has more specific shelf life conditions. So here I have my customer food specials. I choose him. Okay, I add the delivery date, and I've added this sales order as well. And let's now assume that I'm going to duplicate the same sales order, but this time for a customer we have in the UK. So I choose this one here. I enter the delivery date. Okay, so I have now created 3 sales orders for the same product. So if I have to create a pick list for that. So pick list for that can be created individually. So it is a 2-step process. First, creating a pick list proposal where the system will allocate the stock to the sales order, and then creating a pick list which is transferred to the RF terminal. But let's not do it from here. We also have the possibility in Produmex to have a look at all the open sales orders. So here we see all the open sales orders in my warehouse 1, and these are the 3 sales orders that I have just created. What we can now do here is that we can say, okay, we're going to create a pick list proposal for each of these sales orders. So I have now here 3 pick list proposals, and if we look at these pick list proposals and open them, you will see that for this pick list proposal, so let me maximize it, the system will say, okay, I have reserved the stock of this batch number with a best before date of the 6th of April 2019. Okay. If I open the second one, you will see that for this sales order, the system has reserved another batch number and another best before date, because this customer has more stringent shelf life conditions, meaning that my stock of the 6th of April 2019 has a too short shelf life to be delivered to this customer. And if I go to my customer in the UK, he will show me that if I have a pick list here, he will reserve the stock that has a best before date of the 14th of September 2019. Okay? So you see that based on shelf life FEFO principles, we have now 3 different pick lists that have been, or pick list proposals that have been made. Let us now generate the pick lists for that. So we have now 3 pick lists that have been released to the shop floor. So let me take my inventory report again with the overview of all the batches. Now, in order to simulate this process, I have created a number of item labels for these products that you see here. So here I have an item label for my chickpeas, where you see that this is the batch with a best before date of the 6th of April 2019. And that is also reflected here in the product barcode. So I have the identification of the product, the batch number, and the best before date and the batch number. So here I've got the label with the batch with the best before date of the 1st of June 2019 of this batch, and also the information is barcoded here. And here I've got the 3rd batch with the best before date of the 14th of September. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to pick these pick lists and show you how the system will prevent me from picking the wrong batch. So I'm now going to the sales and the picking process. And so here you see now the 3 pick lists that I have. So here I have my pick list for my customer in the UK. So if I select that, he will tell me that I will need to go to this location where I will need to pick 1 tray of this batch with this best before date. Okay, I'm not going to use a movable location or no logistic carrier. I'm now going to scan first my location, so to identify that I'm at the right location. So yes, that is correct. And now I'm going to scan the product. Now let us assume now that I select the product or scan the product with the best before date of the 6th of April. He will now tell me you cannot pick from this batch number and best before date. So it has identified that the product that I have identified by scanning is not the correct one. So he will force me eventually to pick the one with the right barcode. So if I scan that one here, yes, that's the correct one. And he says, okay, you need to take 1 tray of that. Okay, the items are picked. And he tells me now, okay, this needs to go out through the cross dock, and he will now print a shipping label for this, on which you see also here in the barcode that for my customer in the UK, I have now picked the product with a best before date of the 14th of September 2019. If we proceed now with the second pick list, also there, it tells me to go to this location. So it's no problem that they are at the same location. The system will guide me to take the right product. So I scan the location. Oh, first I have to select the item to pick. No movable location, no logistic carrier. So I identify the pick location. Yes, I select the product, and let me try to take the wrong one again. It doesn't work. He prevents me from doing it. So I have definitely to scan the right one. And then he says, okay, 1 tray of that. Just a moment. I need 1 tray of that and no jars. The items are picked. And also there, he will now generate the shipping label, again stating this is the batch with an expiry date of the 1st of June. Okay, and now finally let's proceed with the last pick list. Again, the same location, but this time the batch expiring on the 6th of April. It's no movable location, no logistic carrier. Again, I identify the pick location and the product. So in this case, I'll select the right batch straight away. Okay, and I say I need 1 tray of this. Also, items are picked. Okay, again, the SCC label. So in this case, you see how we have now been able to structure or to monitor or to process the goods according to FEFO and shelf life principles. If we now go to the sales or the shipping process, again here on my cross dock, I have now my 3 pick lists, and for each of these pick lists, I will now ensure that I deliver the right goods to the right customer. So this has been loaded. Okay, it will now generate here the delivery note specifying that this is the batch number and the batch before date of this delivery. If I go to the second one and click the SCC, oh no, just a moment, I've taken the wrong one, the wrong number. So yes, has been loaded, also adding the sales delivery notes and printing also the delivery note, batch number, and that's before date. And finally, the last one. Okay, has been loaded. So the final also batch number and that's before date, and that will also be reflected if I look at the deliveries that are made. So for each of the deliveries, I have here also the statement of which batch and which batch before date. And all the information is also captured in the traceability report. So that was the demonstration and explanation of how FEFO and shelf life picking works in Sub-Business 1. I hope this has been an interesting topic for you. As I said, the recording will be available on the website of Boyum IT, and I would like to thank you for your attention and look forward to welcoming you at another location. Thank you very much, and talk to you again soon. Bye.